coming up. Find out what you need to know about Ames' upcoming transition to a new recycling system. Then, meet a group demonstrating against immigration policy by reviving a protest tradition. Plus, learn how a community comes together to help those in need.
I coordinate it and keep it all running, but without the volunteers, we wouldn't have a program.
These stories and more start now on Studio 308.
Welcome to Studio 308. I'm Nathan Porter. We'll have these stories, plus we'll hear how a Ukrainian immigrant turned into a local bakery owner. But first, an update on the status of Iowa State's gymnastics program. For more, we're joined by Ashley Hummel in our Focus 5 segment. Good evening, Ashley.
Thank you, Nathan. Iowa State University's athletic director, Jamie Pollard, signed a letter detailing the suspension of the 2026 women's gymnastics season. The letter states that the decision to suspend the remainder of the season was due to internal conflicts involving teammates, coaches, and parents. Since then, Pollard announced in a video that the entire women's gymnastics program would be discontinued. Others involved or previously involved in the program broke their silence regarding the news. Former head coach Ryan Schneider reacted in an Instagram post, questioning Pollard and the experience and the ability of coach Ashley Miles-Gregg. Pollard declared that the resources cut from the program will be reinstated into another women's sports program. In other sports news, Iowa High School girls basketball had their state tournament this week. The Iowa High School Girls Athletic Union hosted the 2026 Girls Basketball Championships from March 2nd through the 7th. The weekend opened with the Carlisle Wildcats taking on the Dallas Center Grimes Mustangs in the 4A title game. The Wildcats ultimately won the game following a strong second half, overcoming some rough early shooting to come back and defeat the Mustangs 38-36. Students and community members from across Iowa came to cheer on schools as they looked to etch their name in history. The season comes to a close this week with the boys basketball championships on March 13th. The basketball tournament wasn't the only thing in Des Moines this weekend, with the flea market also taking center stage. At the Iowa State Fairgrounds, tons of vendors flocked to the 4-H building to sell their unique items and antiques. Many customers attended the day-long event where they could find all sorts of items, including books and clothes, some of which were handcrafted. Customers also had the opportunity to purchase sporting cards, as well as vendors selling the antiques that have become a staple of the flea markets.
There's something here for everyone. It's not just antiques. There's a lady who sells fudge. There's people who sell jewelry. There's people who sell Avon. There's everything is here. You're going to find something.
The State Fairgrounds hosts flea markets each month, with the next one coming up on April 11th and 12th. The Herbert Hoover Presidential Library and Museum in West Branch, Iowa, is undergoing major renovations for the first time in over 30 years. The $20 million project began construction in January of 2025. The renovations will redesign the museum galleries and add new interactive displays about the life of the 31st president, Herbert Hoover. The updates will improve the accessibility throughout the museum, providing a better experience for guests. The renovations aim to highlight Hoover's life, from his early years in West Branch to his time as the President of the United States. The updated Presidential Library and Museum is expected to reopen their doors in the summer of 2026. In Ames, a small business celebrated their 5th anniversary this weekend. The Saturday marked 5 years in business for Dog-Eared Books, a local bookstore that celebrates community and inclusivity in the heart of Ames. Local book lovers came to enjoy the festivities, with the line forming hours before opening. With a chance for free cookies and tattoos, both regulars and first-time guests enjoyed the opportunity to back the bookstore.
It's been wild. It feels really good, and today I've seen a lot of new people, but also people who have supported us the whole time, and so it's kind of cool to celebrate those relationships that have formed over the last 5 years.
2026 looks to be a big year for Dog-Eared Books, with plans to expand to double the size of their current store by October. I don't know about you, Nathan, but I love reading.
Yeah, I'm not too much of a fan of reading, but definitely the dogs and the free cookies is what's going to get me there. Up next, a shutdown of a historic building will be forcing Ames residents to change the way they handle their trash. Chayse Roecker has the story.
For nearly 5 decades, the Ames Resource Recovery Plant has handled the city's trash in a unique way. It is the only federally funded resource recovery system that turns burnable material into energy. The plant opened in 1975 and has helped divert large amounts of waste from landfills. But after 50 years, city leaders say the system has become too expensive to maintain.
As we're moving forward, there's changes in regulatory emissions and controls, and on the legislative side, that it's no longer cost effective or efficient to do things the way we are and the way we have been.
Instead, Ames plans to transition to a more traditional recycling system. Residents will begin separating recyclables at home, and trash will eventually be transported to a landfill in Carroll County.
As we go away from waste to energy and transition over to more of a traditional transfer station model, the curbside collection that we plan to start for single-family residents within the Ames community will probably start the first week of July.
For many longtime residents, the change may take some getting used to. For decades, Ames residents have been able to throw most waste into a single bin and let the plant sort it out.
We've been spoiled for, 40 years, that you can just throw it all together and, and Ames will deal with it at the plant.
The transition could frustrate some residents at first, as historically Ames has not recycled.
It's going to irritate a lot of people because it's extra work for the homeowner and an extra cost for the homeowner. So it's going to be irritating to begin with.
Students who have toured the facility say the plant has played an important environmental role in the community.
The plant is able to save over 70% of the trash that arrives in it from actually going to landfills through a system using different sorting techniques to remove a lot of that trash, sending it to recycling and reuse centers, but also allowing that garbage to be burned for fuel.
City officials say a new resource recovery and recycling campus is planned to open in 2027 as part of the transition. In the meantime, Ames residents will begin adjusting to a new recycling system this summer.
Next, music and activism came together this week in Ames. Maggie Burchett shows us how the community raised its voice.
We march under protest.
On a Wednesday night in Ames, music fills the room at Alluvial Brewing Company. Local musicians and community members gathered here for a night of protest songs, an event using music to stand in solidarity with immigrant neighbors. The event brings together performers from across the Ames community to share songs rooted in protest, a tradition long tied to folk music and social movements. Tonight's gathering also raises funds for Iowa Migrant Movement for Justice. Susie Tierney, the organization's development director, says community support like this plays an important role in their work.
Showing up is one of the number one things that we advocate for as an organization. We have a strong advocacy program. We do immigration and legal services, but we also have an advocacy program. And the number one thing that our organizers would say is show up, because there is nothing like a large presence to sway public opinion.
Music has long been a way for people to express frustration, hope, and solidarity. And tonight, those messages are being shared not through speeches or signs, but through songs.
Music is just, in some ways it can be simple and complex at the same time. So I think in moments like this, music is really great because it can keep you focused on a pretty narrow idea, but you can feel a lot of big feelings in it. And sometimes complexities that don't make a lot of sense when you speak them out loud, but they feel true when you sing them.
For many in attendance, simply showing up is a way to support neighbors and stand behind a cause they believe in. One attendee says events like this remind him of the importance of community.
Community is so important to me, and so I'm trying to work with that, because that's what I learned in the 60s was community is the most important part. So I'm turning almost 80 coming up here. And so community has become even more important to me, because I realize that's what keeps me going on that level. That's what feeds my soul and my energy.
In Ames tonight, voices rise together, proving that sometimes the strongest form of protest is a song.
In tonight's Face-to-Face, we sit down with a Ukrainian immigrant who's giving Ames a taste of her story and culture. Here's Mya Allen with more.
Thank you, Nathan. Joining me now is Hannah Petrova, co-owner of the Peace and Freedom Bakery here in Ames. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate it. So can you take me back to the beginning? What inspired both you and Shalika to come together and create this Peace and Freedom Bakery here in Ames?
Yes, everything has started in 2022 with a garage sale when Shalika and her mom, they baked many different Ukrainian stuff, and it was like for help to Ukrainians during the war, and they got a really big support from community. After that it was farmers market, and after that me and my mom joined them also during the farmers market, and we decided like, why not? Maybe we can open something more than farmers market, like a brick and mortar.
Yeah, and so you came from Ukraine to Ames. So what was it like having to build something from the ground up?
It is a really nice question. Yes, I moved from Ukraine, from Kiev. I was born in Lugansk, it is eastern part of Ukraine, and I moved in 2022. It is both like hard and interesting in the same time, because when you move to another place, you can do whatever you want. For example, in Ukraine, I had another occupation. It was something different. But here I decided I want to do something what I really want, what my soul wants and my heart wants. So it is really nice that you have a chance to do something whatever you want.
And you mentioned that you had a different occupation. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that was before you came to this bakery?
Yeah, it was, I graduated from university in Kiev. It was psychology, my major, so I did a little bit of it.
Yeah, and when you guys had this bakery, so you guys got the 2025 Trailblazer Award. What did getting that recognition mean to you, especially coming from Ukraine to Ames and kind of starting over?
That was extremely good news when we found out that we won an award, right? And especially after 1 year since we opened the bakery, 1 year since we are in downtown Ames, and it was really, really good for us to win something, especially an award as a trailblazer, right? Especially because first year for each business is really hard time, and that award meant for us that we do something right, so we on the right path.
And so it's a mother-daughter duo, correct? What has that been like to kind of have the mother-daughters working together in this bakery?
It is mother-daughter, but not duo. It is mother-daughter, Shalika, her mom Irina, and me, friend. So it is mother-daughter and friend, and business partner, of course. It is good in the same time because you can support your family and you can do something together. It is kind of family time, not really, but we can call it like that. And on the same time, it is hard because you should say to your friend or to your parent that you do something wrong or you do something in another way as I see it. So yeah, it is hard and not in the same time.
And so with Ames, I know we have the farmers market. Do you guys get to participate in that? And kind of how does that help you guys bring in more business?
Farmers market works really good for us. We have brick and mortar right in front of the main street, and also we have booth over the farmers market. So we, during the Saturday farmers market, we have both places. And it is really good for community, for us. Yeah, nice time for us.
And you have so many pastries within the bakery. If you had to pick one pastry that really represents your Ukrainian culture, what would that be?
I love this question. We have different categories. We have bread, we have cookies, savories, and cakes. So from cakes, the most popular thing, it is Kyiv cake. It is #1 cake in Ukraine. It is gluten-free by nature, really good one. If you ask any Ukrainian, like what is your childhood cake or what do you know from the cakes, Ukrainian cakes, they will definitely say like Kyiv cake, honey cake, Prague cake, Napoleon. Those are extremely popular. And from the savory category, it is pyrishki and the cheese boats. And bread, of course, our sourdough. In Ukraine, it is also really popular. And from cookies, we have a heart-shaped raspberry jam cookie. It resembles me, Ukraine and our culture, of course.
And lastly, if you had to give one piece of advice to anyone who might be afraid of starting something new, what would you give?
don't be afraid. It is always hard to start something new, but at the very moment when you start it, it is not that hard anymore. So you just keep going and it will help you.
Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation.
From Ukraine to Ames, her award-winning journey is rooted in culture, family, and community. Nathan.
Thanks, Maya. What a fascinating story. Finally tonight, see how an uplifting program is helping the local Ames businesses in the community. Here's Maylee Rosengren with the story.
Before Food at First opens its doors, volunteers are already hard at work preparing to serve the community. Along with serving meals daily, the food pantry also hosts a market 3 days a week. According to Executive Director Patty Yoder, it is all made possible by donations from the community and the efforts of volunteers.
We serve a meal 365 days a year, and we have the food pantry 3 days a week. So if it's a meal day, it's a little quieter, and people come in the morning and have a cup of coffee and a donut and just hang out. And then the volunteers are here all day long, a few volunteers doing organizing and bringing in the food. And if it's a pantry day, then we have even more volunteers helping sort and organize the food and get ready for the pantry.
Volunteering not only helps the community, but according to volunteer Abigail Lee, it can also be uplifting for the volunteers themselves.
If you want to volunteer and see how it is, this is the place to come to. It's a lot of people that come, and you're helping a lot of people, and you're not just standing around just wondering what you're going to do next. There's always something to do when you're here.
Food that comes here is, well, volunteers go out and pick it up, but it's donated by all the local grocery stores and restaurants in Iowa State. And so we wouldn't be a program without that food and without the volunteers. And, you know, I coordinate it and keep it all running, but without the volunteers, we wouldn't have a program. We love having young people here, and we learn a lot from them. And some come for requirements for classes with professors or high school students even, and it's just great to have them. We do miss them in the summer. In the summer, we're short of volunteers, and so we know the students make a difference.
For more information about visiting, donating, and volunteering at Food at First, please visit foodatfirst.com.
We had some great stories tonight. The Iowa State gymnastics, and sticking with sports, the girls' state basketball tournament. The Herbert Hoover one, though, that's very interesting.
I thought it's really interesting that the only president from Iowa is having a $20 million markup on their presidential library.
Yeah, and it was great to hear from Hannah Petrova and learn more about the Peace and Freedom Bakery here in Ames. I'm definitely going to have to try out some of those pastries.
Very interesting interview. For Mya Allen and Ashley Hummel, I'm Nathan Porter. Thanks for joining us on Studio 308.